Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I have a tremendous show for you and a first for this channel. I have a father-son combination. I have a father who's been doing real estate investing for 25 years and his son who is 14. And it's like, you know what, Dad, help me understand what you do. Bring me into the fold. And it's a pleasure to welcome both Jerry and Kendall Green to the show. How you two gentlemen doing today?
All right, Michael, we're doing well. We're just enjoying a Good Friday here in Ohio, and that's actually a little cooler today. We're getting a little rain, but still, it's our springtime. That's normal for us. so,
Very,
but we're
very
doing.
Very cool. So why don't you, Jerry, just really quickly sort of introduce yourself and the company and the business you've been doing for the last 25 years, and then we'll turn it over to Kendall real quick.
All right, sounds good. So I started in the business, I guess, back in 1994 now.
Wow.
That's when prior to that, I was actually in the electrical contracting business with my father. We got kind of put out of the business. We had a large general contractor fold up on us, and at that time owed us probably $60,000. We didn't, taking that back in '94, that was a really lot of money back then. So,
Yeah.
and we took a big hit, and we actually ended up going bankrupt because of that. And I was in a position where I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I saw an advertisement of a seminar in Cincinnati, Ohio, and on television. So no internet at that time.
Yeah.
So we went out. I went to the seminar and really kind of made a decision that this is what I was going to do, and I committed to it. Started wholesaling properties, Mike, and then really just started building from that point forward. I got to the point where a lot of fix and flips. Got to the point I started buying some rentals, bought some multifamily, got involved in some commercial, even got involved like some Dollar General stores, and just continued to grow that. I went through another traumatic time in my life in 2001. My first wife at that time was, we had a brand new baby we just had, and found out she had cancer. And we went through a horrible time. She was my partner in business and everything. And she passed away at 34 years old. And I had to restart all over again, Michael, and rebuild my life again. And I did remarry and moved from, at that time I was living in Springfield, Ohio, and I moved to a place called Germantown, Ohio, which is kind of southwest of Dayton. I'd lived there, now I've lived here many years now, since about 2003 after I remarried. And then continued, and I got back into the business. My wife now works in the business as well, does our property management side. And we just continue to grow that. And what I've been able to do, Michael, over the years is I really become very good at building teams and building systems after many times of screwing it up. Okay? And tremendous system. Lady runs my organization for me. She works as my COO. And then the really unique thing about it is we've built such tight systems that she actually operates my company in Ohio and lives in New Mexico and does it virtually.
Wow.
So, and then I have 2 full-time acquisitions people. I have a full-time dispositions person, transaction coordinator, and marketing person, and out to my both of my acquisitions people are in 2 different states.
Wow.
And so really built a tight system, a lot of work, constantly developing that, But what Michael has allowed me to do is more become the COO of my company. And now I can be in a position where I can give back a lot to, my team. So I spend a lot of time training my team, helping my team, and I spend a lot of time educating others. I do a lot of trainings and coaching with other people and help them take and scale their real estate business, where they're trying to do a couple of deals here a month and stuff like that, how they can create it and really create a machine out of it without killing themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been able to do over the years and build it up. And then recently, my son Kendall here jumped in and said, "Dad, that's what I want to do."
So that brings me to my question for Kendall. Um, you know, I when you know, I don't know how to phrase this and not without offending anyone. Um, you know, oftentimes when you're a child of successful people and they're kind of in the business, a lot of kids go, "I don't want to do that." But you see something in the way that your dad runs his business, helps people. I'm just curious, at 14, what is it that you're seeing that's like, hey, I want to get me some of that? Do you know yet what you see?
I think like he's been doing it for so long, and I've seen what he's done before. And if he can like pursue his dream in that and make a lot of money doing it, then I think that I'm gonna do it too.
Well, thank you for being honest, because we all know when we're 14, all three of us were 14-year-old young men one time. And it wouldn't shock me that the answer is I can make a lot of money.
Yeah, I knew that was coming, Mike.
I suspected that was a test for Kendall. How honest are we going to be? So
Yeah.
that's awesome to hear. I'm curious, when you look at all the things your dad has done, because he's done so many things. He wholesaled before, he flipped before, he holds rentals, he holds probably triple nets on dollar stores. Is there anything in the business like, hey, that's what I want to do first? Have you sort of thought about that yet, or you're like, let me dig in and see which one fits me the best?
Probably wholesaling.
That makes sense, right? Do a bunch of activities up front. You know, you hold them for very short time. We're talking days or weeks, and there's usually a nice payday at the end. So that makes sense. You know the downside of wholesaling?
Pardon me?
I was wondering if Kendall knows the downside of just wholesaling.
Yeah,
Is there a downside?
You got to do it over again, don't you? Yeah.
Active income. It's a job.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's okay, right?
That's why Dad has built a team to do that for him. So
yeah, it's okay, right? Just I know lots of wholesalers. I know wholesalers that make 7 figures a year, but all of them will tell you it's the system and processes and team you built, which you have the advantage of tapping into your dad. But you need to hold rentals long term, because that's where real wealth comes, and tax savings, and you get to hide some of that active income with this magic thing called depreciation, and lots of fun. So, yeah. So I'm curious, at 14, how are you kind of bringing them into the business, Jerry? Are you having them read copy on your ads, or having them take cold calls, or how do you incubate this interest? Because you want to make sure you don't give him too much, but also he's learning. I'm curious, have you thought about that?
Oh yes, I mean he's actually been helping some for the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's more been on projects and things like that. So he was involved in that side of things, and now he's really wanting to start looking at, well, this summer he wants to complete his first deal.
Okay. I like that.
So, yeah, so it's kind of looking at that. So I thought, okay, let's get your feet wet, where Dad will work with you kind of on a JV, on a
Yep.
wholesale. And then, I think what he really wants to kind of look at and learn more is to build more of his own portfolio of things.
Yeah, he wants to take what Dad has done and make it his own, just like every son would. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, he's got. I mean, it's very aggressive on his his monthly income goal, where he wants to be by about 23. So
you care to put that on blast?
60,000 a month
at 23. Well, that quick math says that's what, $720,000 a year. Yeah, I think you can live on that. Maybe.
I think he might be able to get that car that he wants too.
Yeah. Well, it's always nice to have a vision board. What is your car, Kendall? What's the car you want? What's that one thing you want?
I don't know.
Oh, come on now. You have a car you want.
Probably a McLaren.
There you go. Yeah, those are pretty common in the Bay Area. That's not a bad want. Nice $300,000 car. That's okay. Very cool. Well,
But, I
go ahead.
don't, well, I just say I hate to see his insurance bill on that one.
Yeah, 23. Yeah, woo, that's gonna be expensive. That's good. It's good to have goals and go after that. And um, history tells me that as you're working towards that 60K a month goal, you'll start to see all the things that are possible. And my guess is you'll be able to buy the McLaren, but you may choose to do something else because that's just kind of what happens over time.
Yeah, we change over time.
Yeah, we mature and learn and all of that. But that is so cool. I am curious about this because I was raised by my parents were both in the military, just high school graduates, and their dream for me was to go to college. You're obviously in a situation where you graduate high school. If you're cranking at 60 grand a year, it may be like, nope, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So have you thought about that? Post high school? Not going to go?
No.
Yeah, the school of hard knocks, right? You learn as you're going. That's okay.
It's funny, Meg. I'm just for being an entrepreneur myself and everything. And I never went to college. I went, and obviously I'm not knocking anybody that goes, as that's tremendous, but it's not for everybody.
No. Yeah. And I think people need to hear that because there's a lot of brainwashing going on out there that, the next step after high school is immediately go to college. And lots of them don't know what they're doing, right? And they take on these huge student debts and these student loans, and they're just saddled until their 30s and their student loans are paid off and they're making nothing. So I think it's a huge accomplishment to go, no, that's what I want to do. I'm going to graduate high school, walk across the stage, get my diploma, and I'm going to go wholesale some real estate. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think he looks at it as, obviously he looks at it from what dad's done, but he's also, I think it's important for him to learn from dad's mistakes too. Okay.
Yeah.
And, and tremendous, we still make them. Okay. That's part of the learning process on things, but I hired a lot of the wrong people. I bought some of the wrong properties. There's just so many things that I've done over the years. And I think that, that's more valuable than any school we could ever go to. So
agree 100%. I am curious, Kendall, when you look at what I call YouTube University, are there any people that you follow on there? Maybe Max Maxwell or Gary Vee, or who are you listening to besides Dad, obviously?
On like social media?
Yeah, just real estate related, not rap music or anything, but real estate.
Mark Evans.
Oh, okay. Mark Evans?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very cool. I don't know that I've watched his stuff yet, but I will now. Very cool. So you're going to get your first deal done this summer, wholesale a deal. That's and you're 14. So what are you going to be, a sophomore or junior?
I'll be a freshman.
Oh, you're going to, wow, geez, a freshman. Wow. That's so awesome. You're like blowing my mind. It's just amazing. What do you think you can accomplish just during your high school years? Right. So you had the goal for 23, but what do you think you get done by the time you're 18? I can only imagine.
I don't know. I'm going to try to get maybe 1 or 2 deals this summer, maybe starting. And then when I get out of school, like put it in grind mode and start after stuff since I won't high school.
Yeah. Damn that school, that 8 hours a day. Just getting in the way of making money.
You'll have a smartphone back in the corner there putting deals together.
Yeah, very cool. So I am curious, are you just going to look in Ohio? Because I hear there's lots of deals in Ohio, or are you doing virtual wholesaling in any city across the country, or what are you guys thinking?
I might look at both, but probably mainly in Ohio.
You got to start somewhere. Yeah. Don't get the shiny object distraction, because then
it's easy to do that.
Oh, in this business for sure.
We both know that, don't we?
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, I would tell you definitely, since you're only 14, that's amazing. Yeah, get focused, get really good at pick a city, pick a zip code, and be that man, right? Be the guy that knows everything about that location, and you're gonna dominate things. It's gonna be fun to watch.
I
Um,
think, Michael, too, what's interesting is, so when Kendall was younger, very young, he got hurt at one time and hurt one of his fingers. And they had, and it was actually where he was at playing on one of the neighbors' homes. And they gave him so much money to put into a controlled account for when he gets old enough. And you know, we were recently talking about that. And so I think he's looking at now, instead of just going out and buying a car for that, how he can take and leverage that either into rental
oh,
property or like doing a private note or something like that. So
yeah, that is huge, because the difference between who are the rich and wealthy people that I know, Kendall, and the people that have a high income and live paycheck to paycheck, is people who take lumps of cash and invest it and don't treat it as income, right? Are far better off in 5 to 10 years. I know I worked in software sales and routinely worked with people that made 7 figures a year, like $1 million. And less than 5% of them would set anything aside and invest and reap and go forward. I never made 7 figures in sales, but we lived so far below our means that we were able to build a real estate portfolio of 175 units and retire at 45, right? Where all these other 7-figure earners, they have no hope of retiring. In fact, they're eventually going to get bankrupt, because the job that we have, they can't do it forever, right? They get older, their health goes out, their relationships fall apart, they get addicted to bad things, and they're a bankruptcy waiting to happen. So your dad's advice to save that money, invest it, don't buy a toy with it, is wise advice. That makes sense. I know it hurts, right? Because you want a car. I get it. But you can do so much more with that, I think. All right. So,
this asset, let the asset pay for your toy.
oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah. One of my favorite videos I did once was, all right, if I wanted to buy a Ferrari, how could I do it? And it's like, okay, it would take 6 rental homes and, all of those things. So, that's how you should think about buying toys is, okay, that asset buys that toy, in my opinion, right? Some guy from California. So I am curious, Jerry, how are you going to introduce him to the world of wholesaling? Because there's lots of systems and processes and mailers and cold calling and driving for dollars and deal machine and all that stuff. How are you gonna bring him, a 14-year-old, to wholesaling?
well, I think the big thing is I want him to understand that one, it's not, dad's just not going to give you leads.
Yep.
Okay. That you've got to understand that there's a entire process to this, that, and I think that's a big thing that a lot of people get involved in this. And that's one of the things I do when I teach a lot of people, is understanding that there's multiple moving parts to this. And it's almost like an assembly line. And that what he's got to learn is that understand all that assembly line, but to do it successfully, become very focused on that area that you're very good at, and then start finding other people that can do the other portions of it for you.
Yeah.
And then focus in on your unique ability. And your unique ability, which might be a lot like dad, is I've always been very good on the sales side of things. And so that might be his real unique ability to do the deal structuring, put the deals together.
Mm-hmm.
What I always refer to as the deal engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and then work the other side of the business.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The other thing to realize is, you may have a head start in this because dad's there to help you, but your summers are like 10 weeks long, I think, 10, 11 weeks long summer break.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? And a lot of the people that are just getting in the business that do the work, just so you know, they may not see their first check for 4 months, just so you know, right? So you may do all the right things your entire summer and you may get frustrated. I'm here to tell you that don't worry about it. Some of that effort will pay off perhaps into the school year. I don't want you to be, hey, I just spent 11 weeks. It doesn't work. Dad's crazy. I'm going to go do something else.
So good advice.
Yeah.
I think it's especially in his generation, we're so used, to the point of everything is, bam, now,
Instant gratification, right?
Instant gratification
Would-
on things.
Kendall, would you be Generation Z? Is that the right? Is that your generation? You're not a millennial, obviously.
No, you're not in the millennial side. So,
I don't know.
So.
I think it's Gen Z, whatever that next generation. Basically, you were born when the smartphone was around, is basically, as I understand it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The early stages of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
again, those are, and again, he's going to be doing things when he's 23, for example, that you and I've never heard of, right? Because the way social media and technology are going.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be left in the dust.
Yeah. I'm just going to collect my rental checks and be done with it. I'll be okay. All those young kids are just out there kicking my butt. That's very cool. So I am curious about this, Kendall. You set a goal for when you're 23. That's impressive. I love goals like that. But what are the big steps between a 14-year-old Kendall and 23-year-old Kendall? What does that journey look like? Because it kind of feels parabolic when your dad and I know it's more like stairs.
I feel like from right now until high school, it's going to be tough.
Sure.
But right when I get out, I'm just going to like try my best and do like as many deals as I can and like really go like forward with it like right after I get out of high school. So like it might not be as fast right now, but once I get out, I'm going to start moving really fast.
Got it. Yeah. So again, right, some guy from California who you know, you don't have to listen to me, but I would tell you, I think you need to have better goals for when you're in high school. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, right? You know, sure, you could, you know, freshman year, you could be learning, trial and error, all of that. I have a sneaky suspicion you're going to figure this thing out. And I think you should shoot to make, you know, $100,000 a year, you know, starting your sophomore year, right? It's not $60K a month, but you know, 100K a year, that's, you know, somewhere between 10 and 20 wholesale deals. I think if you get, because you got to, the thing about wholesaling is you got to start the machine, but then you have to keep going. You absolutely cannot go, hey, I'm going to do this in the summer, then take 9 months off. Do this in the summer, take 9 months off. That's not how wholesaling works, right? Once the machine's created and you lubricate it, yeah, you've got to stay at it. And it doesn't take a lot, right? Especially if you focus on one area, right? It'll be, I don't know, 5 to 10 hours a week, but you've got to nurture that thing. So I think you need to have better goals for certainly for your sophomore and junior, senior year, my opinion.
Yep, I agree with you. I think a lot of stuff you can really excel on in those years, and you'll be surprised. I think as you move forward, Kendall, and you get more engaged into things, I think you'll see that picture. As Mike says, what'll happen is it'll become to the point where it'll become very present to you, and you'll say, "Why can't I do it now?" versus waiting later. And you could be graduating high school at $100,000 a year.
Yeah, I think there's two things two things will happen for you, Kendall, if you do this right and you stay focused and educated. One is you are going to make more money in a year, your senior year of high school, than any of your teachers. Pretty cool, right? Think about that. The other thing that is unknown, but I promise you is going to happen, if you just have a little bit of success and your friends, your network of friends at school and all that see what you're doing, you're gonna just attract all of these bird dogs and people willing to door knock for you and want to be your partner. Your network is going to explode. And by your senior year, I imagine you will have people bringing your deals and you'll have to market less. I mean, just think about that, right? You walk around with a stack of $100 bills like this as a junior. I mean, come on, baller. What's up?
Yeah. You probably won't have any problem getting dates.
Yeah, no, that won't be a problem. That won't be a problem. But again, think about it, because what happens is in this business is your network is your net worth. And if you just you leverage your dads at the start, and then you go leverage all of your friends, you have just this unlimited source of people door knocking and taking pictures of houses for you. That's in your future if you want it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've shared with him, and ultimately, telling me, as he builds this, it's very active in the business. And the first part of his ultimate goal my is and build the more of the residual income from the rental properties on the, and build that, his, really his portfolio of things there.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what he wants to get to, because I think Kendall's in a position where, he sees the power of it.
Mhm.
He understands that side of things. He lives it.
Yeah.
That's a big part of our lives. And, my wife works in the business as well, managing the properties. And I think he really sees the power of that. And I think when he feels the power to generating those chunks of money,
Yeah.
what you're going to be really benefiting on, Kendall, more than most people. And this is something you can see yourself. This is a blessing on things, because what dads went through, and I've had to restart more than once and been bankrupt and everything else, is to take that money, and you'll have a lot more of that money that you can actually invest versus just taking care of expenses.
Yeah. Yeah. The other, absolutely. Yeah. The other thing, Kendall, just so you know, so first off, the good side, your network's going to grow when you start showing success in high school. But realize one of the things you're going to have to do, and your dad and I have certainly partnered with people we wish we hadn't, is you're going to have people glam onto you, try to consume some of your time or some of your partnership. And maybe they're great friends, but they are poison for your business. So you're going to have to start to be self-selective, right? There are school friends, and then there are business relationships. And it'd be hard to press to see those overlap every time, right? Maybe there's one or two friends that will be friends for 50 years and they're great business partners. History says that's not going to be likely. Does that make sense?
I've shared a lot with him already about, his circle of influence and what a role that plays in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And already, and going forward here. And I think Kendall does a pretty good job, that what an impact that can make.
Oh yeah. He's already ahead of the game then, because I had no clue, right? I lived in a neighborhood, like the 5 kids on the street, they were my friends, just because we lived on the same street. I had no idea of who could help me. So it's pretty weird. So
same. I grew up I was a little skateboarder back then.
Oh, your son's gonna want to see pictures of that, I'm sure. That's funny. So as we kind of wrap this up, any words of wisdom for other parents that want to bring their kids along, Jerry? Because honestly, not a lot of children want to follow in their parents' footsteps. Any words of advice that maybe can help them bring their son or daughter along for the ride?
Well, I think a big thing, it's never too early to expose them to it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's one thing. I think a lot of us get this belief that we shouldn't start sharing with them even just not only the business side, but the mindset piece. Okay. Which we know is really the biggest component of this, is the mindset piece. And I think a lot of parents, we're afraid to share that, because it's so many of them are caught up into the school mindset and the overall mindset of go to work, go get, go to college. And again, nothing wrong with college on things, but I think the mindset piece is a huge, huge component at it. And if we can expose them to the right mindset early on, then that will lead into the bigger opportunities right there. And I think that's one of the biggest things we can do as parents on that side of things, is just to think differently than 95% of the people out there.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big, big component of it. And then we know, and it's like with Kendall, he understands more of that now, and understands that, the crazy thing is, there's a lot of people that we have a lot of hard times relating to, and you know how that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not because we're better at whatsoever at all. What it is we just think different.
Exactly. So same kind of question for you, Kendall. Like if you were if you were up in front of a room of, I don't know, 50, 14 and 15-year-olds, and you wanted to talk about real estate investing and why it's something they should be thinking about, because most don't, let's be honest. What would be a couple of the takeaways or things for them to try to think about as a 14 or 15-year-old?
Well, I think most of them wouldn't understand because like I'm really mature for my grade, and there's a lot of there's still a lot of kids in my grade.
Yeah.
But I would just say don't waste your time and education isn't a bad thing, but
Yeah.
I think that if you want to do something with your life, don't go to school and then work in a factory and waste your life in a factory.
Yeah.
You want to have fun with your life.
Yeah. The thing I would say, kind of just with different words, is, if I was in a room full of 14 and 15-year-olds, right? That's, 8th to 9th grade, I guess, is think about the future, right? And again, I was guilty of it. I never did. I was like I only thought about today. But something I see in you, Kendall, is you're already thinking about the future, right? You've already showed a roadmap to your 23. I mean, shoot, I didn't think about being 23 until I was 22, right? So, yeah, I think if you sort of have kids go, what do you want to do in the future? I think that's a reasonable question, because some of them should be entrepreneurs like you, while some should go be doctors and lawyers and go to 6 years of school. No judgment either way, but know thyself. And I think that's something that, in this quick 30 minutes I've gotten from you, is you know yourself and you're comfortable in your own skin. So that's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah. I'm excited for him, proud of him. It's a big jump for him on things. And I know that this is what he really wants.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about it. And there's not a lot of 14-year-olds that can say that this is what they really want.
Almost no 14-year-olds can say what they want.
No. I mean, obviously we know he's got a lot to learn, but the cool thing is he understands items, and to me, that's the crucial thing.
Oh, no question. One thing, Kendall, do me a favor. Please reach out to me, or have your dad reach out to me after you get your first wholesale check. I want to do a video celebrating your success.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Jerry, if other parents wanted to reach out to you, how should they do that? Facebook, or you have a website, or how can other parents get a hold of you?
One of the best ways is definitely on Facebook. You can go to my personal page, Jerry Green in Germantown, Ohio, or that's my personal Facebook site. And I have a Facebook page too, this Jerry Green. You can like that. Instagram is the Jerry Green. And so a lot of people reach out to me on Facebook, Mike, and that's one of the best ways to connect with me. I know I mentioned to you, I have an event coming up in May.
Yep.
So just a couple of weeks from now, really. And so anybody that's around the Ohio area or some of the surrounding states, I know it's not a big notice, but it's May 6th, 7th, and 8th right here in Dayton. What I really focus on, it's a 3-day event. It's a commitment of time, but I look at this as it's basically the focus of the event is called Think and Grow Your Business. And it's about taking the model that I've created for a business in real estate and a true business, and I really expose exactly what we need to do, the team, and how you build that into a true business on things. And to do that for 2 days, and then my 3rd day, I spend nothing but just focused on sales side, and that is how to acquire properties, and one is on the side, deal structuring, how to be very creative on that side. Okay, major impact, $2,500. So
very cool. And again, Kendall will be there learning alongside other students.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably have Kendall say a few words too. So.
Oh, that would be good. Put him up in front of the audience. That's going to be awesome.
So, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, very cool, gentlemen. Thank you very much for giving us time. I am so impressed, Kendall, with your commitment, desire, your goals. You can see that path. I do think you should have bigger goals for your high school years, as I shared, because I think you can do it. And Jerry, congratulations on your business and bringing your son along for the ride. That's a
Thank you.
tremendous success. All
I
right, gentlemen.
appreciate that.
Have a great
All
day.
right. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.